Ooh, we're live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the For the Win podcast. Today's episode, we're talking about PlayStation versus Xbox. We're going to play some clips and respond to them. We're going to also talk about Tokyo Game Show, which was last week. And yeah, all that good stuff. For the Win podcast. So we need to get into the comments, John, because we didn't do that last week. I have them pulled up commented here. So we got JJack 2024. He said, "Not even close. The worst gaming company is Sony, weirdo." Laughing emoji, because the title of the episode is Ubisoft the worst gaming company. Funny. I'm glad we got Xbox fanboys on the channel. That makes me happy.
We're gonna get into why Sony's the worst a little bit later.
Ooh, Sony slander is welcome on this channel.
Sony slander.
Sony slander. Sony slander falls off the tip of the tongue and the teeth so nicely, Sony slander. Noah Hughes 3278. He said a lot of no good with the skull emoji. Bjorn, classic Bjorn. Great video, as always. Ubisoft really seems to be trying to destroy Assassin's Creed. As a huge fan of the series, I have no interest in playing Shadows. The first Assassins with Altair and Valhalla, as I love Viking lore, are really the only two that I love. Wow, regarding Japan trip.
Wait, which one? Valhalla and which one?
Valhalla and what is Altair?
Oh, okay.
ALTAIR. I don't know Assassin's Creed, so is that, or did he misspell something?
No, Altair's from I think the older games.
Oh. And yeah, Japan trip, great experience for you. Thanks, Bjorn. Classic. And then Angry Canadian said, "I swear I don't get notifications for these uploads. I missed the last two. Glad to hear your trip to Japan was a blast. By the way, Angry Canadian is in Japan. I think he's from Canada, but he lives in Japan. If my read is right on that, I think I've talked to him a bit. We also talk on Twitter, X. And so when I was in Japan, I was messaging him on Twitter, and I was like, "Yo, are you in Tokyo?" It's like, dude, let's like connect, because he's been someone who's like commented a lot. We talk about Halo on Twitter, Yeah. And I think he was like in Osaka or something. So we didn't
a little far.
So glad to hear your trip to Japan was blessed. It's an absolute dream to retro hunt out here. See, out here. You see that? Out here. Every time it's a new adventure, just like you said. Every item has a great story. When it's a great find, next time you guys come out to Japan, I will hook you up with the proper CIB Halo titles. Ooh.
Complete inbox.
Dude.
I need those.
Okay. Now we gotta go.
Yeah. I'm down for Osaka.
Heck yeah. Yeah, definitely when I go again, I want to hit like another part, another part of the country. Thanks for the comments, everyone. Leave comments and we'll read them, unless they're like really unhinged. But even if they're like pretty unhinged, I can edit and read them. All right, we are live from the closet right now. John's at his place. I'm in the closet at the in-laws. So here's some of my clothes. We're back, but we got a better mic this time. And let's talk Tokyo Game Show. A lot was there. Phil Spencer was there. And he
did
talked.
Yep, they all did their best, made their best efforts at speaking Japanese.
They got the
somewhat mixed results.
Dude, it is a thing over there when you say like arigato, like everyone's like bowing. So like you're supposed to like when you say thank you, if like they're handing you something, you're supposed to always take it with two hands and like bow. Like every time you say thank you, you just like bow.
You did good bows though, right? You didn't do crappy bows. You went low enough.
Yeah, I went lower every time, and then they went lower. Yeah, me and the guy at the 7-Eleven, the clerk, we were just crawling on the ground, just like, shh, shh, shh.
Yeah,
No,
no.
it's a thing. But do you want to give us like a brief 1-2 minute recap as far as Xbox is concerned? Tokyo Game Show, any highlights?
Yeah, a few highlights. I actually watched a little bit of it live because my
3
child
a.m.
woke up. And
Nice.
so it started at 3 in the morning, and I just happened to be awake. So I was like, well, I'll stay up for a little bit while they fall back asleep and watch some of the show.
Beauty.
So I didn't make it all the way through. I fell asleep. But yeah, it was kind of like okay-ish, It wasn't anything like super insane or super crazy. Probably the best part of it was just kind of all the stuff that came out like onto Game Pass afterwards. And so there's like the Katamari game came out, I think Reroll Plus or something like that.
Yeah, I want to play it.
A couple of the RPGs, the Legend of Mana and the Trials of Mana all came out, and they also launched all of the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster games. So that's Final Fantasies 1 through 6 onto Xbox. The old school NES and like Super Nintendo games. So that was pretty cool. And then they also announced at Tokyo Game Show, I guess maybe because it's Japan, but I always thought StarCraft was bigger in Korea, that StarCraft Remaster and StarCraft 2 are going to be coming to Game Pass. I'm assuming PC Game Pass. So finally some Blizzard stuff is getting on the Game Pass, which is pretty cool. So all in all, I thought it was just kind of like, okay, nothing like super earth-shattering. It's always good to just get more games on the Game Pass and Final Fantasy games on an Xbox, which seems pretty rare these days. So yeah, that's kind of the highlights of it, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with you. It wasn't like a mind-blowing, showing of Xbox, but there was some cool stuff. And once again, just like being a Game Pass member, it's like, sweet, we like benefit. There's 3 new games. I turned on my Xbox the day after, and there's 3 new games that I was like, dang, like I wish I had my computer and my everything set up so I could like stream this, so I could play this. Because once again, there's like value in having Game Pass, and they just dropped 3 full games that they dropped more than that, but the 3 I was interested in was that that Katamari one, and then there's this co-op one, which is just like a fun little puzzle co-op game. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's like these little knitted Tetris blocks, and you work together. And I'm like, dude, this just looks like a fun game to stream. And then obviously very excited about the StarCraft. That was a staple for sure growing up. And so yeah, I think is like kind of what you would expect. They don't pull out all the big guns at the Tokyo Game Show, which could be why they don't do as well in that market. One of probably many reasons, but
Yeah.
but it's like they haven't given up in Japan, and I'm trying to remember, but they were talking about Japan, and I think they said there's more Xbox players in Japan right now than in Xbox history. So take that with a grain of salt. I that might not be the exact words, but it was something along those lines of Phil or Sarah in an interview saying like Japan has been doing really well for us. Now, that being said, the bar is extremely low. So, Japan doing well in Japan for Xbox, could not be like that great. But
Right.
hey, like, whatever. I guess progress is progress. So yeah, I mean, cool to get games. I just don't, yeah, I don't understand enough, and I'm just such an amateur. It just kind of boggles my mind what it is that Xbox, kind of did so wrong in the past and what they need to do to really, really get that Japanese market. Because I told you about, my experience and going to Japan and talking to a guy at a video game store who didn't even know what Halo was just like a wake up call.
Yeah.
And then traveling to over 100 stores with video games in them, and there was maybe 15 to 20 Xbox games in
That's wild.
each store versus, the 150, 200 Switch games, PS4 games, PS5 games. Like, there was more NES games in all the stores than there were Xbox games. Now, obviously, Nintendo exists there, and it was, born there, and Xbox wasn't. So, like, I understand that there's gonna be discrepancy, but it was like probably like 1 to almost 100. Like, it was just so crazy, the difference.
Right.
And it just, yeah. So anyways, Tokyo Game Show, we should try and go. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
We'll roll it in. We'll roll it in. Business and pleasure. We'll go to Tokyo Game Show, do a live pod from there, and then we'll, go do some game hunting, hit Osaka.
Yeah, let's get that FTW LLC started up, and then can just
Write it off, baby.
off.
Write it off. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know where it goes, but you just write it off.
You write it off. It's a business expense. So I saw this clip from Colin Moriarty, who does the what's that PlayStation podcast? What's this PlayStation podcast called? I can't even remember the name of it. I don't listen to it often. I don't even have a place. Well, that's not true. I do have a PlayStation, but I don't play PlayStation. Anyways, this came across my feed on X, and I want to show you this clip, John. Okay. And basically, and what we can talk about for the next little time we have left, he basically talks about how Xbox is not a competitor and Sony doesn't really need to kind of pay attention to them anymore. So I'll share my screen with you. And we can hash it out and get your thoughts. Because I thought it was interesting because just last week, we were talking about how if Xbox keeps going at the pace they're going with all the like great releases and just all the momentum they have, they could really do some damage to Sony. And then I came across this clip and he was very nonchalantly like, yeah,
no
Xbox
chance.
isn't even in the picture anymore. And I was like, oh, dang. He really thinks that. So let's watch this and then we can, have a little chit chat, hey?
You can never write anything off. It just seems like it's done for the Xbox brand as a competition for PlayStation. Will it exist in its own niche? Yes. Could it be that PlayStation will turn into its own smaller and smaller niche? I suppose so. But I just think that the die is kind of cast here. I don't understand how they come back. And I would love for someone to map it out. They are so far behind their own internal metrics, and we know it from the FTC leaks. That we saw what they expected to be at all these different times to justify everything they were doing, and they're nowhere near it. So I just think the embrace of third-party publishing is going to become a big thing, and they'll have some sort of standard console and handheld experience, and I think people will enjoy it, and they'll sell tens of millions of units. But I don't think that they're a competitor for PlayStation anymore, and I don't think PlayStation's particularly worried about it anymore. I think that they're quite satisfied that their major competitor is publishing games on their platform, and which is one of the greatest capitulations. When Sega was putting games onto Dreamcast or I'm sorry, when Sega was putting games on the GameCube, rather, after the Dreamcast era, it was not an Xbox, of course. It was not a good sign for their hardware. It meant their hardware was fucking dead.
So before I toss it to you, John, did you get all that?
Yeah.
So he makes a couple things that I find interesting. One, the obvious comparison of, and this has been a conversation for a long time, the obvious comparison of Sega to Microsoft and Xbox, and being like, is this the same as is this a Dreamcast situation that they're in? Like, is it the same? So that's interesting that he uses that as kind of an angle for this argument. But then, yeah, the whole idea that they're just kind of not selling a lot of consoles and putting out games, and that's kind of like they're just, Sony's cool with that. What's your reaction when you hear that clip?
Yeah, well, I think the industry and the game has like definitely changed, because it used to be, a winner was determined by the console sales. Like, that's all anyone cared about. You could go on like VG charts and just like look, okay, who sold more, Xbox or PlayStation 2 or GameCube, and then be like, okay, they won that console generation. But now with like all of these subscriptions and services and, game sales are kind of this weird thing that we can kind of track. But it's like, they're digital. Some are being like, what do they call it when they're like copies shipped? So they're shipped to like the Targets, Walmarts, and GameStops, but they're not actually sold. They might still just be like sitting there, so it's like all of these different things. And then like with a Game Pass or PlayStation Plus Pro, whatever it's called at the moment, where people are just like signing up for a single month and then downloading a game and playing it and then canceling their subscription. So it's all like this weird, very difficult to track, I think, thing. And that what that means is that console sales aren't necessarily like, I don't think that's what Microsoft's like even focused on anymore. They're just looking at the big number, Microsoft gaming, what is our revenue, what is our profits. That's all that matters. If we're making money off consoles, great, but we're making more money off of the games and selling games on other platforms and all of that. So I think that's where they're looking. And Sony, I think, is still just like, well, we're selling all these consoles, and like, what's Sony's like financial status right now compared to Microsoft or Microsoft Gaming, their division? How are the financials looking? I know Nintendo is still sitting on just like a mountain of cash, like more cash than most countries in the entire world. So it's crazy. it's kind of, it's just like weird to like, okay, like, yeah, the console sales aren't there, but Microsoft and Xbox obviously aren't going anywhere if they're making lots of money, So I think when he says, I don't know if this is exactly what he said, but that Sony doesn't have to like worry about Microsoft. I mean, Sony isn't even like, they're not even paying attention to like their own console and like what their own customers and fans like even want or care about, like they're still just like like the entire like PlayStation 5 Pro like presentation. There's like just more remasters, a Horizon remaster, it's super expensive. They've had like colossal failures when it comes to gaming with Concord, and it's just like I don't know what they're doing because they're not in a good spot financially because they've had huge flops. So it's like I don't know. I don't know about like these guys on this podcast and like what they're playing and how much they've played or whatever. But to me, it's just like a lot of talk, and I don't know. Talk is cheap. Like, play the games, play video games, have fun with the games that come out. And if no games are coming out for the console that you are making your career off of and, talking about every day, then like play games on a different console. I mean, he probably plays more games on PC than on his PlayStation 5 because there's just like nothing. Like, there's not a lot on PS5 that's like exclusive and is a better experience on PlayStation 5, so much better that you have to spend more money on the console. But it is kind of interesting because I didn't even like realize like the console wars have just like super reignited. I thought they had just completely disappeared over the last generation. Maybe that's because like PS4 was just like so dominant compared to the Xbox One. That like I hadn't thought about any kind of taking sides or anything in like years. But I mean, I have a PlayStation 4 right here. There's a PlayStation 1 right there. That's yours. So it's not like we're just like anti PlayStation all the time. It's just there hasn't been one thing about the PS5 that's piqued my interest. And
Correct.
It starts with like the size of the console is just too big. I have a Series S and it's perfect. It's just this little box. Can play games on it. It's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find it interesting because I was kind of just doing a little Googling and looking, and let's talk about games for a second, because that's the big thing when I hear him talking like that. And he's, he probably knows so many more like numbers than me. I don't know a lot of the data, and part of that's because they don't release all the data. We don't know everything, and so all that to say, when he's talking about that, like, for me, the litmus test for anything, because when we were kids, right, when we were in high school, you had to pick what you wanted. Like, we didn't have money to go and buy any console we wanted or buy a computer or whatever. So it was, okay, what are we going to invest in? Like, what's going to be our thing? And it was that way probably till we got out of college, You just didn't have money to do that. And now it's like, dude, I can just go I can play whatever game I want to, if I really want to. I don't have a PlayStation 5, but if I wanted to go buy one tomorrow, go down to Walmart, whatever, buy a PlayStation 5, if there was like an incredible game, I could do that, and I would do that. However, when you look at like some of the exclusives, right, like Spider-Man, Horizon, Forbidden West, God of War, Final Fantasy, Gran Turismo 7, like, there are like some games, but like nothing on PlayStation 5. The closest I got was earlier this year when Helldivers 2 came out, and I was like getting pretty bad FOMO, and I was like, ooh, like, I don't have a great PC, so maybe a PlayStation 5. Helldivers 2 looks so awesome. And then it kind of fell off. And like, fell off. And then I was like, okay, I'm glad I didn't give into the FOMO. That's a whole nother discussion. But like, best-selling games of the PS5 for 2024, I just like pulled up a quick list, and I hope this is right. Helldivers, I don't know if it's in order, but Helldivers 2 is on there. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Okay, but that's, cross-platform, and owned by Xbox, by Microsoft. Dragon's Dogma 2, MLB The Show 24, Final Fantasy Rebirth, Tekken 8, Madden NFL 24. Suicide Squad is on there? I don't know. I think it's only popular because it was bad. Hogwarts Legacy, Persona 3 Reload. It's just like Stellar Blade, Rise of Ronin. All like none of these are like anything that I'm like even remotely interested in. I just don't want to play. And maybe it's I played through Hogwarts Legacy, but that was on Xbox. Any sports games like the show, that's on Xbox. Call of Duty, it's on Xbox. And so I guess for me, the litmus test is like, yeah, you can say Sony, PlayStation's, they're not even worried about Xbox, not even a competition. But I'm like, that's just crazy to me, because I'm like, I can't think of a single reason right now to buy a PlayStation when it comes to games, and maybe that's just like my style. Like maybe it's just the games that I like happen to be on Xbox as well or exclusively. So I don't know, man. It doesn't do it for me. And having the Xbox Live experience, the Sony online experience has always been trash. So having that, I haven't done it recently, so maybe they copied Xbox Live finally and caught up, but it's always been so terrible. When I had a PS4, like online, like it's never been as good. Xbox 360 hit it out of the park. And so, yeah, the Xbox Live experience, and then now with Game Pass just being a crazy value, man, just like ridiculous. Yeah. I have no reason to switch. And I totally would. Like, if it was actually better, if I had more fun, played more games and everything, I would switch to the PlayStation 5 and I would start playing PlayStation 5. Like, I have no qualms about that. I know we do an Xbox podcast, but I'm also not an idiot. I don't have some blind loyalty. It's like, no, dude, like, if Diablo 4 was only on PlayStation 5, I might be playing it there.
Yeah.
If the next Halo game is only on PlayStation 5, yeah, I would probably consider that. And so, yeah, I don't know. And to me, it just sounds a little like, and he could totally know something I don't know. We don't know. But it's like, you only have the information that we have. And so, like, unless you know a bunch of inside knowledge about their, P&Ls and how well truly Xbox is doing as a business, how well PlayStation is doing as a business, and all the nitty-gritty numbers, it seems a little like premature and a little like, I don't know if ignorant is the right word, but it's like, we don't know what we don't know. And who knows how much cash Nintendo is sitting on? Who knows how much cash Xbox is sitting on? Who knows how much cash Sony is sitting on, or, PlayStation is. We don't know. So to me, I'm like, it's hard to make a big statement either way, in like against Xbox, for Xbox, against Sony, for Sony, when the reality is we don't truly know. We know some things, but there's no way we know everything. And I've said this before, and even though I'm pretty sure, he's maybe, no, he's not a journalist, but I think he has the inside scoop and he knows people in the industry, so he probably knows some things. But even then, nobody is looking at the same Excel spreadsheet that Phil Spencer is. And so I just think it's like the only person who can kind of sit in a seat and say that would be him. Like, I'm not really gonna believe, like, people shouldn't believe me if I make some big sweeping statement about the state of Xbox. You can talk about how you feel and all of that, but it's like, dude, we're not on the emails. And Phil Spencer at IGN Live, he was like, look, at the end of the day, every morning I wake up and I look at how many people are on Xbox and how long they're playing for. And that's like my biggest priority. And so, yeah, I don't know, man. I just like, why the competitive Xbox fanboy in me is like, it's a little premature. We'll see. But also, you just don't know. In Xbox, what if it just goes under next year and Microsoft cuts it? And we didn't know the whole time they're hemorrhaging cash, like we don't know. But what I do know is right now, there's nothing I want to play on PlayStation except for Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, 2, and 3. And everything is on Xbox and all the studios and games coming out. It's exciting. So that's how I feel. That's my 10-minute rant about that clip.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Pro sells. Gosh, I just can't imagine like at that price, like it sells like gangbusters.
It hasn't been. I read
just the way
something earlier.
Just the way like our economy is right now, and inflation and money's tight for so many people. It's like,
yeah.
And then you have to have like a sick TV to take advantage of it,
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to get into so far the issues with the PlayStation 5 Pro and kind of their claims of
I mean,
how well their features are delivering?
We can. We talked about it before the pod, but also I'm like, we're not a PlayStation podcast, but I think the long short of it is there's been a lot of comparisons coming out. PS5 Pro isn't quite living up to the expectations, especially like their whatever it's called, Ultra HD, HDR mode. But let's talk about some new games coming to Xbox. Don't do that.
Okay.
As much as I'd love to, bash on Sony, I do want to like keep it kind of Xbox centered for Xbox. So there's some games that came out, which is really cool. And as an Xbox fan, and we do this podcast, we get to say this all the time, which is really awesome. We get to say new games are coming, like there's some new games coming or have just come out. So the first one is Starfield expansion. Shattered Space. Starship Troopers. Do you want to talk about have you read anything? Have you seen anything?
Yeah, I mean the trailer they released, whenever they announced it, what was that at? I think it was just at like the Xbox game event or something. Like it looked cool in the trailer, and it looked like there was like some personality and excitement and things in the game. But I'm not a big Starfield guy. Like I've put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into Fallout and Elder Scrolls games. But Starfield was just like, there just was so little fun to be had in that game. And so, I mean, I put just over 7 hours into it, which isn't a lot. Maybe it takes 10 to 15 hours for it to get good. But I just didn't have that in me to push through. But so far, what I've seen about Shattered Space is one, like the actual like campaign and story is like very short. Like it's quick, like a few hours maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't add really anything in the way of new mechanics or new just kind of
Right.
it doesn't like change things up at all really. Like there's new area, but it's like this doesn't really have a profound impact on like the rest of the game, and so it's just kind of more Starfield is what I keep hearing. Oh, it's more Starfield, so if you like Starfield, then you'll like this, and that's that doesn't work for me because I didn't like Starfield, and so I wanted something new and I wanted something to change, to make the game fun.
Yeah.
And that doesn't look like this expansion is it. So I'm passing.
And you weren't alone on that. That was the sentiment for like many people. PJ O'Reilly from Pure Xbox, he did a review and basically had a lot of the same things to say. In his conclusion, he just said Starfield Shattered Space is a big disappointment in almost every way. We love the base game for all its flaws, and we were willing this to be the big exciting DLC drop that'd make us love it all over again. However, what we've got here is a very average narrative expansion that fails to add any big choices, upgrades, new enemies, biomes, loot, or anything that could potentially excite or draw new players. It's buggy, janky, badly acted in places, and there are a myriad of bugs and performance issues to be ironed out. What a missed opportunity. So apparently it has bugs galore and performance issues, which is kind of crazy, not surprising, because it's current gen gaming and most games are released with bugs galore and performance issues. But yeah, kind of a bust there, and you would just a disappointment. Kind of reminds me of Halo Infinite, except for Starfield had like so much potential and didn't have like a fan base around it already. So
Fallout 4 had a handful of expansions and add-ons. Like the two big ones were Far Harbor and Nuka World, and story-wise, like Far Harbor was like a great addition. Nuka World was kind of just like it was fine, but basically these were 10-ish plus hours. Nuka World maybe even being like 15 to 20 hours to like do everything. So like they're like pretty hefty like expansions and like a completely new area with totally new enemies and weapons and things like that. And so this Shattered Space, it just seems like I don't know why they went like very light with the expansion. It seems like not a whole lot of, I hate to say like thought and effort, because obviously people like have been working on it for a long time, but for a game like this size and like flagship game, like adding a couple hours of few missions like as a expansion. It's not an expansion, like it's like a title update or something.
Yeah, it's a bummer, but you know what I always say, said this for a long time, just because you worked hard on it, a lot of effort and passion, it doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't matter. Like, look, you know this better than anyone, right? Your toddler will passionately color a picture and put her heart and soul and effort into making it as pretty as she can make it. But guess what? Doesn't mean it's it's incredible because it's your daughter. It's not a good painting. It's not. It usually
Mhm.
with kids, they all end up just black because they use all the colors. But like it doesn't matter just the like amount of time and effort you put into it, because you can put a lot of effort and it still be bad. Um, it's I think Socrates said like, Socrates has a quote about practice. And it's basically the idea. I'm not going to butcher the quote because I don't remember exactly, but the idea is practicing a lot doesn't make you better. Practicing correctly makes you better. And
Mm.
so making games, like putting a lot of effort into making a game, doesn't make it good. But putting a lot of effort in the correct way and making a game correctly does make it good, And some people just like don't know how to make games. I'm one of them. Okay. So I'm not like, but it's like there's an obvious, like, it's just not fun. It's not good. It's not fun. It's like, yeah, you put a lot of heart and soul and effort into it, but that does not equal a good game. Because otherwise, guess what? I could put a lot of heart, soul, and effort into it too. Does that mean
Yeah.
I can make a good game? No. I need to know how to make a good game. That's what it is. So, yeah, it's all kind of a letdown. What is not a letdown is the Xbox app on mobile. We're getting some updates to the Xbox app, which is kind of cool. Did you know, some people might not even know there's an Xbox app. Do you ever use the Xbox app, John?
Yeah, I use it to.
What do you use it for?
I usually use it to like check who's online.
Mm-hmm.
I use it to download clips.
Yep.
I think I've used it a couple times to like pre-install things.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think. But yeah, mostly that. It's also like easier to like send messages to people on my phone than
Typing
like
it.
on the actual Xbox. So, yeah, mostly for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I just actually turned my notifications on today for Xbox messages and friends coming online. But yeah, I actually use the Xbox app more than I thought I would. I initially just downloaded it just to like, oh yeah, Xbox, I'll just download to see what it is. But I do find myself using it more, and I would love to see it like continue to grow and like be made way better. Because it is like really useful. Like for getting clips and for sending messages. And you can also check on there, like if there's an outage, you can just check on there and it'll show you, we usually just hop online, but you can actually go on your phone and
Yeah.
immediately, because there was an outage for like 30 minutes today or yesterday, and you can literally just go to the settings in the top right corner and just click Xbox status, and it just shows everything. And so you can like check what games are down. So like eFootball 2024 is currently unavailable, and it'll show every game, that is currently down, what's up and running, like everything. So, sign in, account settings, gamer tag, all that up and running. And so I'm like, dude, that's actually, because online services, this is Xbox Live going down, PlayStation going down, it happens. It's not like uncommon, but it's always nice to know like what exactly is it like my internet, or what's going on. And
Right.
on the app you can check super quick, which is great. They're also merging it with the Game Pass app, is what it looks like. And so you can manage your Game Pass Xbox Live membership on the Xbox app, and basically go through the whole Game Pass library. So you can look at your membership, browse the catalog, view and like claim your perks. And then you can also, remote install and remote play. And so I'm like, that's cool, man. Like, I think it's really cool that they have. I thought for a while they abandoned the app. I was like, it's just not quite up to par, but they're just slowly chipping away at it. And having notifications on for your wish list things is really cool. Having notifications on for free play days is really cool. Stuff like that. And so yeah, I am using it. So if you're an Xbox person and you didn't even know this, I would actually be like, yeah, get it. I think it's cool and it's free. And so I wish they would up the rewards. Let's see, claim rewards. You earned 87 points playing games. Nice job. Check out the breakdown below. New balance 1,506. Total points 87. I don't think I can, I don't know what rewards. That's the thing with the rewards. I don't think it really. Okay. So to get PC Game Pass for 1 month, you need 9,250 points. For $1, I can get a Xbox gift card that's $1.25.
Yeah.
$1.25 Xbox gift card. Look at that. 1,500 points.
I got a $25 gift card. I turned in my rewards points, got a $25 gift card, and put that towards Space Marine 2.
How'd you get so many points? That's crazy.
I use Bing a lot. I just have Bing and do all my searches and things.
I gotta start doing that.
That's probably the main way. I'm not like a hardcore, because there's like a lot of stuff that you can use to like hardcore, like harvest points. Bing.
Yeah,
has,
like what can you do?
Just, like quizzes, surveys.
What do you get from Bing for like searching? How many points do you get, like, say, a month on just your average searching? Do you know?
I don't know. Let me see.
Yeah. Hey, I bet we could Google it. But yeah, I mean, I think stuff like this though, right? I think this is like cool. And if they can build on this, I think this is cool. And I was even thinking like, dude, like, integrate cool wallpapers that are exclusively on the app, integrate cool like content and things that you can get exclusively on the app. Like, I would use it. I would be on here, We might not need to go as far as like the Nintendo Wii where you could like order Domino's from the app, but like just like add some things,
Yeah.
Like keep building on it. It's cool.
Yeah, I want to be able to airdrop like my clips to my MacBook.
You mean directly from the Xbox app, not have to download it, then airdrop it? Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool to like be able to do that seamlessly for sure. Yeah, I would love that. All right, yeah. Anyways, always interesting with Xbox, always interesting. For the Win Corner, what's going on with you? What news from the Mark?
What news?
Or just, whatever.
Yeah,
for the Win Corner.
I got like really behind on Diablo 4, and so then I hit level 100 a day or so ago, and only to realize that the season ends in like 6 days. So that was kind of like a bummer.
Wake up call for sure.
I got my mythic uniques. I had just everything, and now it's like just going away. So
You had a busy 3 months, man. I think that's I mean, because you actually kind of wanted to play this season. I know seasons past you haven't touched it at all. 'Cause you're like, this season looks lame.
Yeah,
But
I skipped season 3 with your little pet or whatever
yeah,
that crawled around.
robot pet.
Bro, like not
did-
interested in that at
it-
all.
It had almost no effect on the game.
Yeah. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm still playing through Space Marine 2. I got one buddy to buy it, so
nice.
that was cool.
Who, Micah?
No, my buddy Andrew.
Nice. Shout out to Andrew.
So he got it, and then yeah, really, it's just been it's hard to find time to play stuff.
Yeah,
it's a lot, and we're gonna be heading into the holidays and all that. So
Winter Wonderland.
I know.
Should we get a date locked in?
There's only one day that works between.
Oh, what day is that?
Between Christmas and New Year's. It is.
I'll put it in the calendar right now.
It's the 27th, December 27th.
All right, I'll make the flyer. We gotta invite Mr. Craig this time, because somehow he didn't. I think he didn't get on the invite because it was Halo 3, and it was like he didn't play Halo 3 with, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, he's not gonna want to play Halo 3, like. But that was a me being in California, you being in Washington, trying to court, like, just is a lot.
Yeah.
So I felt bad that somehow also I sometimes assume that Dad's just going to rally the troops and just bring people, which he did, but I think he just, it was just a miscue. I felt terrible because he's always at the LAN parties. But also he never played Halo 3, I don't think. So anyways, for what it's worth. Yeah, for the Win Corner, I think, going to start streaming and doing some content from this closet.
Okay.
And I'm going to just embrace the season that I'm in, instead of being like, you know what, I can't do anything. I don't have my desktop set up. I don't have my monitors and blah, 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 blah. Like, instead of all the excuses, I think I am going to just embrace this setup to the fullest and stream from my laptop and do a little, few month run of closet streams. And I actually think the content can actually do decent, because people will be like, why the crap is this guy in a closet? And the honest to God truth is, I have nowhere else to stream, to go to do anything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And I'm working at a Christmas tree farm this December, and I've decided what I want to do with my money, or at least part of it. I'm going to bite the bullet, happily bite the bullet, by the way, and get myself the Cadillac of video game converters. And I'm blanking on the name right now. The Retro Tink 4K. It is the best of the best on the market. It's like an $800 converter, upscaler, whatever, and I'll be able to plug in. I watched a review on it from what's his face, YouTube tech review guy Linus, and it is the ultimate. No more pound cable for me, baby. We're going big. And so I'm going to use that as well for content. And just playing some old school games, be able to play my PlayStation N64 in, ultra HD, lagless, perfect picture. I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
there's a reason it's $800 because it's incredible. So I'm excited to get that, and then we can mess around with that and just see how truly good it is. But my dream, once we get one, will be to get two. So when I have the For the Win studio, we can, because at the For the Win studio, we'll have like the set, and we'll have a couple couches, but then we'll have like a middle table and two monitors where we can sit across from each other, and there'll be like a monitor in front of us as well. And so when we want to co-op a game, we'll be sitting on the couches talking, and also being able to co-op a game, et cetera. And being able to co-op an original Xbox game or do a system link, or I just want to be able to have all the possibilities, or do like a side-by-side Super Mario 64 speedrun challenge. Like, okay, let's see who can like get the star first, like boom, right next to each other. It unlocks so much content. So I'm very excited for that. And so we'll see if I break $1,600 working, then maybe I'll just bite the bullet and just be like, we're ripping two, just go for it.
And I need to watch that video.
I think they'll hold their value too, if I want to sell it, if I need to. But anyways, anything else? Leave a comment, rate, subscribe. If you haven't left a review on the Spotify, that would really help. Leave a 4-star review, or no, 5-star review. And that really helps when people are searching for the Xbox podcast. And we'll be back in the closet, back on the pod next week.
Yeah, you gotta get that soundproof to get some lighting in there.
Dude, any more lights in here, I'm gonna be cooking. It's already so warm. I will be cooking. But did you see my poster? Check this out. Hold on. Love that poster.
It's a good one. One of the best.
One of the best. All right, that's it. That's the pod. See y'all next week.
GG's.